Welcome to Insight Influx. Today, we're spilling the tea on 20 mind-blowing video game facts you probably didn't know. We're set to traverse the fascinating chronicles of gaming. Buckle up for an enlightening expedition into the heart of video game lore. Are you geared up to enhance your gaming knowledge? Let's go. Can you believe it? The very first Easter egg in a video game was hidden away in Adventure for the Atari 2600. Fascinating, isn't it? Picture this. Warren Robinette, the crafty programmer behind Adventure, sneakily stashed his name in a covert room within the game. This thrilling act marked the birth of the first ever recorded Easter egg in the annals of video game history. How incredible is that? 2. The first recognizable video game character didn't come from a big studio. This might come as a surprise to many. Most would assume that the honor would go to a major video gaming studio. However, this is not the case. The pioneering figure in this regard was, in fact, not a big corporation's invention, but the product of an individual's imagination and creativity. The person in question is William Higginbotham, a name that many might not recognize. His contribution to the world of gaming goes back quite a bit, all the way to the year 1958, to be precise. It wasn't for a high-tech gaming console or a modern computer, but instead, it was for a game called Tennis for Two, on a rather unconventional platform, an oscilloscope screen. 3. Did you know that Sony and Nintendo almost teamed up? This is a fascinating piece of gaming history that is not widely known. In the early 1990s, these two titans of the gaming industry were in serious talks about a potential collaboration. The idea was to create a CD-ROM accessory for Nintendo's Super Nintendo Entertainment System, or SNS. This would have been a groundbreaking move, as it would have blended the capacities of cartridge-based and disc-based gaming. But unfortunately, due to a series of disagreements over revenue sharing and control, the partnership talks collapsed. Many details of this failed collaboration are still shrouded in mystery, and it continues to be a subject of much speculation and debate among gaming enthusiasts. However, it's interesting to note that this failed deal was not a total loss for Sony. They managed to salvage the situation by taking the technology they had developed for the potential partnership and repurposing it. This set the stage for a new era in gaming and culminated in Sony launching the original PlayStation, a monumental event in the history of video games. The PlayStation revolutionized the gaming industry and shaped it into what it is today. Sony took the tech and gave birth to the original PlayStation. 4. Sonic. The Hedgehog's design was a cocktail of inspirations, including hedgehogs, foxes, and even Santa Claus. It's fascinating to see how diverse sources of inspiration can come together to create a character as iconic as Sonic. Hedgehogs, with their distinctive spiky appearance, provided the obvious starting point for Sonic's design. Foxes, on the other hand, inspired Sonic's agility and quickness, traits that have become synonymous with the blue speedster. Then there's the influence of Santa Claus. This might sound odd, but the jolly character's red and white color scheme inspired Sonic's shoes, adding a dash of vibrancy to his design. All these elements combine to create a character that has captivated millions worldwide. Our story moves on to number 5, Carol Shaw. She's not only a key figure in our list, but also a veritable pioneer in the gaming industry, being one of the first female video game designers. In the year 1982, Shaw scripted history by creating a game titled River Raid. This wasn't just any other game, it was designed for the legendary gaming console, the Atari 2600. Shaw's brainchild, River Raid, was a testament to her creativity and technical prowess. More importantly, Shaw's achievement broke down barriers, paving the way for a wave of aspiring women to join the industry. Our 6th item on the list leaves us in awe. The prestigious title of owning the largest video game collection in the world is held by none other than Antonio Romero Montero. Picture this, a resident of the sunny state of Texas, USA. Montero is not your everyday Joe. His passion for video games is unmatched and transcends all boundaries known to us. An enormous treasure trove of 20,139 different video games is what he boasts, a whopping number that leaves us astounded and curious to learn more about his extraordinary collection. 7. A prominent figure in the world of gaming and coding is synonymous with the legendary Konami code. This code, which has been etched into the annals of gaming history, surprisingly originated in a rather unexpected place. It was birthed in the game Gradius, an iconic title which was released for the Nintendo Entertainment System. NES. This game, with its engaging graphics and challenging gameplay, took the gaming world by storm, but it was the Konami code that really captured everyone's attention. Initially, the code was implemented to provide the game developers with extra lives during the testing phase. It was a simple yet ingenious way to facilitate the testing process, making it easier for the developers to navigate through the game without getting game over. This relatively unknown trick eventually spiraled into a phenomenon that became a cornerstone of Konami's identity, providing extra lives during testing. 8. Lara Croft, the unforgettable protagonist of the iconic Tomb Raider series, is a character that has carved her own niche in the realm of digital entertainment. She is not just another video game character, but an influential symbol of strength and power. This strong, adventurous female character was not born out of thin air. She emerged from a blend of inspiration drawn from two remarkable sources. The first source of inspiration was the bold and beautiful Swedish actress and model Nene Cherry. Known for her distinctive talent and striking features, Cherry's persona provided the perfect blueprint for Lara's breathtaking beauty and fierce determination. The second source was the intriguing comic book character Tank Girl. This unconventional heroine, known for her rebellious spirit and audacious attitude, contributed to the formation of Lara's daredevil spirit and indomitable courage. This powerful combination of Cherry's allure and Tank Girl's audacity breathed life into Lara Croft, making her an icon in the world of video gaming. The year was 1983, a time of innovation and technological advancements. In the middle of this dynamic era emerged an unexpected pioneer in entertainment, a video game called Talking Jack. This wasn't your average game, it was groundbreaking. It was the first of its kind to incorporate voice acting, a feature unheard of in the realm of gaming at the time. This revolutionizing element gave the game a unique, engaging appeal, but it didn't stop there. Talking Jack further pushed boundaries by bringing digitized speech to the ZX Spectrum computer, a significant stride in the tech world. An extraordinary epic in gaming history, the release of Talking Jack marked an exciting new chapter for this thriving industry. 10. Did you know that World of Warcraft, the titan of MMORPGs that has captivated millions of enthusiasts around the globe, was originally conceptualized under a different title? During the embryonic days of its development, the creative minds behind the project toyed with an alternative name. Rather than the title we've all come to recognize, they initially considered christening it Warcraft, Orcs and Humans Online. This title, rich with the essence of its fantasy universe, would have directly alluded to the game's central conflict and immersive lore. It's fascinating to ponder on how different our perception of the game might have been had the developers decided to stick with this original title. Nonetheless, the game was ultimately launched as World of Warcraft, carving its own distinct legacy in the gaming world. Believe it or not, the first video game tournament took place way back in 1972, an era when video gaming was a new trend. The historic event occurred within the hallowed halls of Stanford University, a prestigious seat of knowledge. This wasn't your typical academic competition, however. Rather, it was a thrilling competition of Space War, a game that took the students on an interstellar adventure. The players weren't battling simply for bragging rights. Instead, the coveted prize was a year's subscription to the beloved Rolling Stone magazine. It was truly a unique blend of pop culture and technology. Number 12, indeed, the term Pac-Man Fever has interesting roots that trace back to the vibrant era of the 1980s. The phenomenon was more than just a passing phase. It was a cultural milestone that swept across the globe. The game, characterized by its simplistic yet addictive gameplay, became an instant sensation. It was everywhere: arcades, bedrooms, college dorms, you name it. It was a time when people huddled around tiny screens, captivated by a virtual yellow creature voraciously devouring dots. This universal obsession is what coined the term Pac-Man Fever, originating from the widespread popularity of the game in the 1980s. 13. The Atari 2600 was the first video game console to introduce interchangeable cartridges. This innovation in gaming was truly monumental. Before this invention, video game consoles were confined to the few games they came with. No more, no less. The introduction of interchangeable cartridges brought a revolution. It was a seismic shift that altered the landscape of gaming. Suddenly, players weren't just limited to whatever games the console initially came with. Gamers now had the ability to switch between games, offering a level of variety and flexibility previously unimaginable. This was a real game changer. 14. Shigeru Miyamoto, the creator of The Legend of Zelda, was not just designing a game. He was recreating the wonder and excitement he felt as a child, exploring the forests and caves near his home in Japan. He would find himself lost amidst the trees, stumbling upon lakes and fields that left him awestruck. These memories played a significant role in shaping the landscapes in his games. His own passion for nature and adventure is vividly mirrored in the expansive open-world design of the Legend of Zelda series. The essence of his real-life explorations that he infused into the game's design is part of what makes the game so immersive and relatable. 15. Pokémon creator Satoshi Tajiri took his love for the bugs he'd passionately collect as a child and transformed it into an empire worth millions. A concept as unique as this one could only be born out of a child's pure fascination. Satoshi, ever the bug enthusiast, saw beyond just their beauty. He envisioned a world where every creature is unique and special. It's remarkable how a simple childhood pastime could birth a phenomenon that brought about such a profound change in the gaming industry. This wasn't an overnight success, however. Satoshi spent a painstaking 6 years carefully crafting and perfecting the very first Pokémon games. His dedication bore fruit when the games were released, marking the start of an era that continues to captivate millions around the globe. The franchise, beyond just games, evolved into a cultural phenomenon touching various aspects of everyday life. It took him 6 years to develop the first Pokémon games, and it was worth every second. 16. The original name for Donkey Kong was actually Jumpman. This fun fact may take you by surprise, but it's true. Back in the early days of Nintendo, the creative minds behind the scenes were experimenting with different names for their characters. The character we now know as Donkey Kong was initially named Jumpman, a fitting name for a character whose primary skill was his ability to leap with agility. However, this wasn't the final name to stick. In a twist of events, the character was later renamed Mario, a significant transformation in the history of this beloved franchise. The reason behind the name change? The character was named after none other than Nintendo's landlord, a man by the name of Mario Segale. 17. Space Invaders was so wildly popular in Japan that it created an unexpected cultural phenomenon. Much like the Beatles' British invasion in the 60s, this was the space invasion of the 80s, only it was in Japan and it was all about a video game. At first, it was just another game among many in arcades. Soon, though, it turned into a sensation. The game's mechanics were simple yet addictive, with players mesmerized by the pixelated aliens descending the screen. It became such a craze that it literally impacted the country's economy. People hoarded 100 yen coins, not for savings or other purchases, but to feed into the arcade machines that housed this beloved game. In fact, the demand was so overwhelming that it led to a nationwide shortage of 100 yen coins. And thus, people were scrambling for these coins just to play the game in arcades. 18. The Atari 2600 version of E.T. the Extra-Terrestrial is a noteworthy piece of gaming history, often cited for its notorious standing amongst the gaming community. Not only was it described as the worst video game ever created, but it also bore the dubious distinction of being a game that was both commercially and critically panned. The game was developed and released by Atari in 1982, but it was so poorly received that it became one of the biggest commercial failures in the history of video gaming. In fact, the failure of this game was so significant that it contributed greatly to the video game industry crash of 1983. The crash, also referred to as the Atari shock in Japan, was a large-scale recession in the video game industry that occurred from 1983 to 1985. It was a pivotal event, marking the end of the second generation of consoles. And a large part of the blame was placed on this game, E.T. the Extra-Terrestrial, for its lackluster gameplay and its failure to resonate with players. 19. Final Fantasy was named as such because it was intended to be creator Hironobu Sakaguchi's final foray into the world of video games. Born in 1962, Sakaguchi was a mastermind behind many successful video games, but his journey wasn't always easy. The world of video games was full of fierce competition, and Sakaguchi had his fair share of challenges and failures before he could create something truly spectacular. His dedication towards his work was unwavering, but the pressures of the industry were taking a toll on him. He was considering quitting, and Final Fantasy was supposed to be his swan song, a final note on what had been a challenging yet fulfilling career. The name of the game was symbolic of this sentiment. It was his final fantasy before he bid adieu to the world he had so passionately contributed to. However, the game was a monumental success, far surpassing anyone's expectations. It became a cultural phenomenon, a beacon of triumph amidst the sea of failures. Its groundbreaking graphics and immersive storytelling compelled gamers around the world to dive into its magical universe, forever altering the landscape of video games. Sakaguchi's Final Fantasy proves that sometimes our moments of desperation can lead to our greatest accomplishments. It stands as a testament to Sakaguchi's talent, resilience, and unwavering commitment to his craft. His final game ironically gave birth to a legendary franchise that continues to captivate millions of gamers even today. But let us not forget where it all started. 19 Final Fantasy was named as such because it was meant to be creator Hironobu Sakaguchi's last game before quitting the video game industry. And 20, The Sims was originally conceived as a virtual architecture simulator. This concept at its heart was a remarkable leap of imagination. The idea was for users to engage with a computer program that would let them experiment with building and designing structures. A sort of digital sandbox where aspiring architects, or even just casual users with a flair for design, could create their dream homes, corporate skyscrapers, or cozy suburban cottages without needing a degree in architecture or the significant financial investment of actual construction. This initial concept was all about being a tool for exploration, for letting users uncover their hidden design talents and experiment with structural patterns. However, as the idea developed and grew, the creators realized the potential for something even more groundbreaking. They saw the potential in not just creating a tool for architectural design, but for giving life to the creations. They envisaged a digital world, a simulation where users could not only design spaces but also populate them with characters, or Sims as they came to be known. This simple shift in perspective turned a tool into a game. It was no longer just about the buildings, but about the lives being lived within these buildings. The characters could interact with their surroundings, forming relationships, pursuing careers, and essentially living out virtual lives. The architectural designs were no longer just lifeless structures. They were homes, workplaces, and community spaces, all filled with the hustle and bustle of digital life. This architectural simulator became a platform for storytelling, for creativity, and for understanding the complexities of life. The Sims became the life simulation game we all know and love today. And there you have it, 20 fun facts about video games you probably didn't know. We delved into the expansive world of arcade classics, modern marvels, and hidden gems, highlighting the most intriguing and little-known aspects of the gaming industry. They've sparked global communities, fueled technological advancements, and they've even infiltrated the realm of pop culture. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button and subscribe for more. Until next time, keep gaming.